It's Sunday night, 9 o'clock. Welcome to All Lacrosse Live. I'm Gary Groob in Toronto, and I just got here. Another week of travel, guys. Another big week of travel. We'll get into that in a second. With me, of course, I have Shawn Slaght and Moose Jaw. How are you, Shawn?
Doing pretty good. Thanks, Gary.
And I have Muffler Mike over in Connecticut with a nice Seals jersey on his door. Like that. Saw a lot of that a couple of weeks ago.
Yep.
How you doing, Mike?
I'm doing good.
Awesome. Yeah, guys, nothing like having a good old 6-hour drive to Albany and a 6-hour drive back in the last 24, 35 hours or so. That's always fun. It's a good time, though. I really enjoyed the atmosphere, the people, the arena. You know, there's a lot of really good stuff going on there. They seem to got that down pat, and there were more people there than I thought there were going to be. So, and yeah, there was a number of Rock fans that were there, but that's mostly Albany fans, and pretty cool stuff. Now, one of the things which was my highlight of the weekend is I had a chance to get together with Brent Coy, and we've had Brent on the show showing refurbished sticks and things like that, and I got a chance to see a bunch of those as well. But we all know his NLL or MILL accomplishments with the New York Saints. He had tried out for the Albany Attack, and this isn't one of those pre-made shirts that were at the arena. This is his. So thank you, Brent. It's
awesome.
Found a good home. This is awesome. He gave me a few other things. He gave me one of the old Albany Attack T-shirts. This is the back of it. On the front, there's a big A on the side. He also threw in an Albany Attack cap from way back. But it didn't stop there. He had a couple of other things in there that were really interesting things, too. The NLL had come out with an official publication back 2000, 2001. And this was a standard thing for all the teams because it had all the teams in the back of this thing. But in the center, the teams could put their own stuff in there. And obviously this was Albany's because there's their teams. So a really cool thing to go through and have a look at. He had given me from the 2001 season, their number one pick was Mike Regan. And De Beer Lacrosse, I put out a picture which Mike had signed. Really cool. And if I wanted season tickets for the 2001-2002 season, well, over at the MVP Arena, which then was called Pepsi Arena, and then there was, of course, everything you needed, your schedule and your seating guide and everything else, and all the new things that they were going to do, like season ticket giveaways and all kinds of other things to keep the fans ablazing in there. But yeah, it was great to meet up with him. A couple of little shots there. Of course, us in the pub, which was attached to my hotel, which did a lot of sponsors for the Albany team, which was really cool. And if you're ever in Albany, head over to the Hilton Garden Inn Albany Medical Center. This bar is attached to it. The food was phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. And atmosphere, people, service, everything was great. Everything I read about it was that and more. Just amazing. But we went out and looked at he had brought a couple of sticks both days, yesterday and today. And today, this was a picture with one of the Alfie sticks. Just amazing. And, you know, I've been to Alfie's workshop. I've sat down, had dinner with Alfie, and, you know, all through the years, and went to seen him put together things in a 10-month process. But to have the stick in your hand compared to other sticks, the thing is just weighted so perfectly that it's such a night and day. You could blindfold me and I would know when I had an Alfie stick in my hand. That's just awesome. Stunning. And all the markings in there and everything else was just, you know, just a kind of, you know, the hair on the back of my neck stood up as well as my heart warming at the same time. It was just weird. But yeah, that was a 2006 stick. But it was great to, you know, we talked for quite a while yesterday and this morning before I left Albany. I must talk with Brent for about another hour and a half this morning over breakfast, and just talking about old school lacrosse and different programs that started and the waybacks and things like that, the 90s, 2000s, and that era. It was just amazing just to talk about all that and hear things firsthand. and how some things went, as well as jibbering back and forth about things that are going on now, sixes and other things, and coming to common ground on some ideas and other things. And I even came up with an idea of one for maybe Joanne Storkin if she's listening. The idea of Field of Dreams came to my mind. And, we're talking about Schuler's Joe and Cooperstown and all the rest of that. And I think that there would be a really good movie if we could find a Field of Dreams and do it with lacrosse. I think that would be an absolute stunner of a movie. And I think it would be able to get a lot of mainstream to watch that as well, and be able to put the history in, and in a lighter way that it would actually gain more present time viewership. So if you're listening, Joanne, that's my pitch. See what we can do, because there's so many players that are around still and so many stories that can be told. And I think it would be more interesting than a baseball movie, honestly. But hey,
Definitely.
That's it. And Eduardo is with us. St. Augustine, Florida.
Oh, he's come to gloat.
Yep.
Yeah, well, we'll get into that.
Yeah.
We're going to hold off on that for the time being. I've had a good day. I've had a good day. And yes, of course, Guido, thanks for being with us. And yes, the drive is just numbing. The only thing that was really great was the weather was good both days. So, although the leaves aren't on the trees yet, the scenery was still the scenery. So it did give me a chance to see a lot of small town America. And I rather enjoyed the drive for a good chunk of it. And then after a while, it just got long. And then, of course, I got into Toronto, and then it just got silly. Yeah, even Sunday afternoon, silly. But it is what it is. Just before we get rolling, guys, just for the network, just to remember all the shows are streamed live across Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and also Twitch. And you catch all the action on EOPsports.com. Remember to hit the subscribe, follow, and like buttons. Always share. Tell everybody about us, please. Enjoy all of our affiliates. Steel Steps is going nuts this weekend with WrestleMania stuff. We've got one of our guys from EOP that has actually got media credentials over in Lincoln Field and is doing an awful lot of work. And he has been really busy all week and doing some great stuff, cranking out some great reports. I don't think we'll see Pat. I'm pretty sure that he is busy with all that, but the invitation has been laid to him if he can come in for Wings Nest today. If not, we totally understand that WrestleMania is going on as we speak. And man, is it ever nutty over at Lincoln Field and all of Philadelphia with everything. But it looks great. Everything I've watched so far has been top notch. You can tell it's the new era, the Paul Levesque era. Anyways, if you missed a show, no worries. You can grab all the podcasts at all the major podcasting companies, which include iTunes, Google Play, TuneIn, Stitcher, Amazon, Spotify, and so much more. You can also catch all the shows on the EOP YouTube page at EOP Sports, or if you're looking for our stuff in particular, and there's a lot more stuff up there already, you can catch it on the All Across All the Time YouTube page, in which you can catch interviews, press conferences, a lot of retro games, our entire library, as well as fights and older interviews. Lots of stuff still to come in there. So please tell your friends, tell your family, tell everybody to please subscribe there. And we can use that as another tool for everything. Remember, you can stay up to date with all sports by visiting EOPsports.com with great articles from our huge staff of contributors. While you're there, please subscribe to our newsletter. Well, we have one bit of thing that's upcoming, and that is the third annual McDougall Memorial, and that is over at the Rock Athletic Center on July 6th. You have a junior game at 3 p.m., Junior A, a celebrity game at 6 p.m. Always a lot of great names there. Yesteryear, this year, tomorrow year, every year. And some guys from the NHL as well like to show up there and do some playing. So it is a great time and inexpensive. There is also a silent auction that runs 4 till 10 p.m. Lots of great stuff. I picked up a bunch of great stuff over the last few years, especially last year. There's a beer garden. Keep yourself busy, and live music. So I think $10 is the cost. You want to get over there if you're anywhere in the area. And a who's who will be there. I can definitely tell you I will be there. The Bats Invitational we've been pumping out for the last month or so. Well, it went off on Saturday. The Bats won 25-7 over the Laxney Invitational champions. And Mike Cooper, friend of the show and the owner and founder of the Rochester Bats, number 26 there in your picture. He had a couple of goals, but more importantly, as to Mike's character, he also had a scrap. A little good-hearted thing there, but, got to keep it real, y'all. Got to keep it real.
Wouldn't be a Bats Invitational without one, right?
Yeah,
Well, of course,
exactly.
man. Of course. Otherwise, it looks staged. It's ballet, isn't it? It's lacrosse, man. You want flag football? We've got a field outside.
Yeah.
Can't take the shall we say the contact out of lacrosse, man. Not a soft game. Anyways, happy birthday to the Gate brothers who had their birthday the other day. They are now 57. Young, I will say. Nobody be squinting. I'll be 57 this year. Young. News that I actually broke on the other show on Thursday. Totally by accident, but it happened. Reed Reinhold was my guest, and he had let it be known on the show before anybody had publicized it that The Rock had signed him for the end of the season. It was actually a day before, because Friday was a deadline to sign up free agents that could be still available for playoffs. So, big news there. He was a huge part of some of the teams that were really successful, and his role here will be to fill in for any of the guys that A, need a rest, or B, get hurt. And that's great insurance to have coming off the bench. Fantastic player. Speaking of coming back, Challen Rogers, he's back. Missed 6 games with a shoulder injury, and he is back. Looked very good yesterday. We'll get into that a little more when we get into the recaps. The weekly Nick Rose milestones. Last week we skipped it because he didn't play. But with his victory yesterday, passes Bob Watson for the most career wins in Toronto Rock history with 106. Interesting enough, I was telling Shawn off air, Nick Rose had a goalie goal at the end of yesterday's game. It's in the highlights, so we'll get to see it. But interestingly enough, I have been at every one of his goals. The 2 in Toronto against Buffalo. I was at the 1 in Rochester when he scored. And I was, of course, yesterday at Albany's game when he scored again. So just a little FYI. Maybe get me some first-class. Nick Rose can be a 50-goal scorer.
Yeah, he'll break the record, right? Next one breaks the record.
That's it,
So
anything's possible. Speaking of records, Jeff Teat. He was the first to 50 goals in the NLL this year. Second time in his career to reach that milestone in his 3rd season. Pretty wild.
Yeah.
Remember, the Riptide go as Jeff Teat goes. And talking about success stories, the Georgia Swarm clinched yesterday with their victory. So they are in the playoffs. All right, without further ado, why don't we get this over with, shall we?
Yeah.
It looks so promising, man. I went 4-0 on Friday. And then a 2-2 day or whatever, or something like that. 2-3 day. Whatever. Anyways, we have a new leader. Eduardo is our new leader at 74 and 46. Some heavy duty numbers there. Shawn and Pat are tied in second at 73 and 47. I am still on their heels at 71 and 49. And Mike is starting to fall further back. But I see what Mike's doing. He has to make things happen, so he has to go against the grain.
Yeah.
And if he gets a week of upsets, he goes 8-0.
Oh, we're all screwed. Yeah.
Yeah. And every one of us will go 1-8.
highly unlikely.
But if we look at it, 6-3 for Pat and myself and Shawn, 8-1 for Eduardo. Just absolutely amazing picking. And Mike at 4-5 because he's trying to make things happen. Not that he can't pick it up. Thanks, Travis. Good to have you around. They actually are doing quite well with attendance this year. They have turned the corner.
Nah, missing a few zeros on that number.
Yeah,
absolutely. Was that the Vancouver game, Eduardo? Or the Toronto game? Just got lucky.
Hey.
And of course, Brian is with us. We hope you're doing well, Brian. The Wings didn't do so well, but we hope you're able to, keep your chin up. Mind you, by now, I guess everybody in Philadelphia is getting used to these end of fourth quarter collapses. I'm telling you guys, just some weird things. I expected that team just to come out guns a-blazing after Paul Day's press conference last week.
Good thought.
They played about 38 minutes today. And of those 38 minutes, none of them were the last 6. Maybe if they would have played 42 minutes, they could have come away with the victory in this one. It just they pull up they pull the reins just a little bit early, seems, on these games, and that's when weird things happen. Anyways, we'll come back to that. I want to start this week, since we're be doing majority of NLL things this week. We'll start with the Buffalo Colorado game. Another nail biter, guys. Dane Smith scores 5. Byrne adds a Hattie as the Bandits win NLL Finals rematch. Why don't we get a look at the highlights here, and then we'll get to talking.
Gillis was able to get over center, and his troops were on the floor. And smart play by Buffalo to double that right away.
There goes Dane Smith, and he does that right away. Gets a goal. He was unstoppable a week ago. Looks like he brought that same energy to Colorado. The net, that's with Dylan Kinnear. He's just in a wrestling match and a shot. He ended up setting a screen. Short-handed goal for Colorado. Colorado boxed up. And there's a sneak by that, I believe, was Byrne, who took the late hit. And it gets by Dylan Ward, and we have a tie game. It's DeCloutier. Now he tried to throw it to DeCloutier, who was knocked down. So Colorado tops in the league on the penalty kill. Dane Smith doesn't care. There's a second in a row on the power play for Buffalo. They take back the lead 5-4 with that Dane Smith goal, his second of the night. Trying to go to work. That's McLaughlin with it. Goes over to Robinson. Robinson will feed Kelly. He fires and scores. Game is tied before we go to the half, depending on the last 2 seconds. Williams with it, low corner. Now to Robinson again. Kinnear with the pick. Creates the lane. They go back door. That's a goal. Oh, Eli McLaughlin was hanging out at that X position if it was field. And everybody clearing space for his teammates. Now the ball finds him again. He gets to the middle. Dumps it off to Buchanan. And it's a goal. Dylan Ward tried to look as big as possible. 8 seconds left to go in that penalty. 8 on the clock. Oh, there's a pass right to the middle. Nanticoke's free and scores.
Score a goal right there. That was really impressive.
Colorado still in the power play. There's another power play goal from Connor Robinson. Career goal number 100 for Connor. Brings him 1 goal closer to Buffalo. 9-8 our score. For the Mammoth. So Jordan's going to go ahead and pull it out. Now coming right down the middle. Zed, he scores! Zed Williams fresh off the bench with that hop shot you talked about. They go up high to Dane Smith. Dane Smith just bowling through the Mammoth defense and scores! I didn't see who tried to check him. Was that Robert Hope? But Dane Smith was just like a freight train. That was Owen Downs, the young kid.
Well, wasn't the token Nanticoke pass to Kyle Buchanan just something else? That was just a thing of beauty, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Let alone his goal just after that. It was just, but this game was back and forth the entire way. When I say a nail biter, I mean, it was really strange half in the first half, which saw both teams get on runs. and then went over 15 minutes without scoring. And then it got noticeably chippier in the third quarter. Buffalo jumping out to a couple of goal lead. Of course, Dane Smith and Josh Byrne both having great nights. Connor Kelly and Zed Williams came to life in the fourth, aided by Buffalo's undisciplined play and taking a bunch of penalties. But Byrne and Smith ignited and scored back-to-back for the 13-11 win. Back-to-back, actually, if you include the empty netter at the end. Just a wild game, hey, guys?
Yeah, but I guess, good teams find ways to win. And I guess that's what Buffalo did right at the end there, right? To pull away.
Absolutely. Now, do we think that Buffalo has kind of found their thing now? Some people are thinking that the league should be more wary of them. I'm not so sure. I'm thinking that if you can find a way to shut down Smith or Byrne, or by some way both, or disrupt it a little bit, that they are that team is not going to be doing all that much. Am I wrong?
I wouldn't say you're completely wrong. I don't think they're quite where they were at this point last season, where they were just red hot and unstoppable. They
Right.
don't quite project that aura of invincibility like they did at the end of last year. But they're still the champs and they're still a dangerous team. So,
right.
And I was gonna, well, certainly. I mean, you saw that during the stretch of games where he was on injured reserve,
Well,
and you saw how, yeah. I mean, it's I mean, it's the reason they're not, 12-5 right now or 12-4. So,
yeah,
instead of 9-7. So,
yeah, I was going to disagree with you, Mike. I don't know exactly about shutting down Smith and Byrne because they still have, like you said, Nadikok, Kluche. You still have some backup scoring there, but again, I agree. They don't look like the same team they were, and Vince has looked somewhat human this season.
Because let's face it, the Byrne and Smith I think accounted for something like 35 points in the last 2 games. 2 or 3 games. Just some absolutely obscene number between the two of them. That's a lot of points that the rest of the team is not scoring. And both wins. If you're able to cut down one of them, I think you're also going to be able to hamper the other one. And these games aren't blowouts. If you're knocking them down by even 2 or 3, that's a loss to Colorado. Just putting that out there. So, I don't think it's all. I don't think the Connor Farrell thing is going as well as they thought it might be. Yes, he had a decent day here, but as soon as he faces, say, I don't know, TD Erlin, Trevor Baptiste, these are the ones he's going to face in the playoffs.
Well, that's a good point, Gary, because he had an okay day. It was like he was 16 of 28, so that's kind of in the 50-50 mark. Like it wasn't, he wasn't dominating by any means.
And he's also not going against one of the top face-off guys in the league.
No.
So what happens when that happens? Those numbers dip. Just like Colorado has had trouble all year with their defense, with their offense. And they were still able to do both in this game. And this is a team that's supposedly mailing it in since they made all those trades.
Yeah, I mean, I think they've kind of shown that they're not. I mean, it's maybe a different story now after this game, where their playoff hopes are all but
You
vanished.
gave away 2 perennial all-stars in Dawson and Wardell. And you're doing better? How does that work?
I mean,
The head scratcher, my
Yeah.
opinion.
it is, but you know, I mean, Dawson's near the end of his career, so you know, I don't know that there was a guarantee maybe that he'd be coming back next year.
Right.
You know, I mean,
Yeah.
I think you need 2 hands to count the number of times Wardle was, you know, drafted by another team during expansion only to be traded back to
It's also
Colorado.
that Dawson works in Brampton as a fireman, and it's a heck of a lot easier to get to Buffalo. So it might have been, if we're not doing anything, do you think that maybe you can get me a little closer to home?
Yeah,
Sure,
to me,
sure.
the Wardle trade was more the head scratcher than Dawson. Dawson kind of made sense, like you said, from Burlington near the end of his career. It was the Wardle one that's more of a head scratcher. If you're selling, then fine, you're selling him off. That's fair. But yeah, just trade him off and do better. That's a head scratcher.
So other than it frees up a spot for somebody else, there's two spots in the lineup that were now available where, you know, maybe better chemistry. I don't know.
And,
I can't put my finger on it.
Yeah.
now their first round pick belongs to Philly. Do they have someone else's first round pick from a different transaction?
I don't think so, and I would have to look that up on
I have to look it up.
on Swarm It Up. So something to food for thought. All right, let's move over. I want to move over to the we're talking about Wardle. Let's move over to the San Diego Panther City game. And well, Stott scores 4 to set franchise record for goals in the season. Crawford nets a Hattie. San Diego finds it in the end of the game because that was nip and tuck also, right down to the wire. And then the last couple of minutes, San Diego pulls it out. It's a lot closer a game than that score is indicative of. Let's have a look at the highlights.
Defensive side of the floor, I haven't seen any rookie nerves out of him. He's playing with confidence, and I expect him to make an impact tonight. Crawford tiptoeing the crease. Nail those picks a little more aggressively and jump out to the ball carrier. Stott's on a step down, buries it. And the Seals effectively kill off the penalty as Panther City slips to 1 for 13 in their last 3+ games. Berg feeds ahead. Seals tie the game. Patrick Shume with his first of the year. Malcolm. To Caputo on the backside. Great feed by Malcolm as Riglieri's green light. But maybe that one should have been a yellow. Berg stings the high corner. Shot clock winding down and kind of give a palms up like, hey, that's kind of my role right there. And Crawford, just like he drew it up. The old bobble to yourself in the issue. Goodwin this time hums it wide. And the Seals can run this time. Baptiste head down, pushing the tempo. And it's Bradley who beats Taymud. Bluffs, Berg backpedals. Berg back to Stotts with space, and he buries another one. A first half hat trick is Trey Leclerc. Crawford to Malcolm, final seconds. Caputo beats the buzzer. Oh man. Lusky about getting out and just getting set versus coming out as we see a penalty here. Wesley Berg, 1 fake, 2 fake, red fake, blue fake. Sheridan pulled them within 1 a couple of minutes ago. Now Crawford with space. Crawford scores again, and we're tied at 7.
Has those strong relationships with the rest of the players and coaching staff. It's definitely nice having him back here in the building, guys.
Baptiste for the first time this year, and what a moment to put San Diego up a goal. Panther City's defense Covers possession. Now Goodwin buries up high. Panther City gets one in transition to tie it at 8. LeClaire rolling to the net, can't handle the pass. Wardle, shot clock running out, and Chris Wardle with his first is a seal. Outside and up off the boards. No reset of the shot clock. Knox has it. Donville to Knox. Step down. Knox ties the game. Philadelphia. And then have games each of the final 2 weeks. Malcolm, first of the night, gives Panther City the lead. Chris knocks the ball loose. Under 5 minutes left. Stotts ties it at 10. 4 for Austin Stotts. Power play. Went 4 for 5 a couple weeks ago. They can take the lead with a goal. Stotts back to Berg. The hat trick goal gives it back to San Diego. Malcolm Thompson knocks. And a mistake by Panther City as Doby out of the box. Doby to the net. And he buries it.
And there you have it, guys. What they didn't show was when it was 10-9 for Panther City, they had a great opportunity. Passed over to Crawford, who was all alone at the side of the net, and Origlieri just made a beautiful save. Just was able to step to his right and get his shoulder there. And otherwise, this could have been a whole different ballgame. Because right away after that, Stott scored on the other end.
Yeah, that was definitely the turning point.
Yeah.
Just a couple of things I want to add before we get into this. You mentioned Reed Reinhold signing right near the deadline. Panther City also had a signing. John Lintz. He didn't play this game, but he did play today against Philly. And then I quickly looked at Swarm It Up for that info. Colorado does not have a first round pick. They have several trade partners who have several first round picks. Georgia has 3 first round picks. Buffalo has 3 first round picks, and Toronto has 2. And we all know about Jamie Dawick's allergy to first round picks.
Yeah, funny how that is.
So Colorado does have a few trade partners, and a couple other teams have some trade partners too. Their potential, because obviously there's a number of teams that do not have a first round pick this year. So.
Yeah, I agree. Panther City is good. I don't know about great, but they're good. And San Diego is relentless.
Yeah, and I mean, we've been talking. We're talking about Buffalo finding ways to win. I mean,
well, San Diego
we can't. Yeah, we can't not talk about San Diego continuously finding ways to win. I mean, they're
this time the hero was Trevor Baptiste, who got his first 2 goals of the year.
Yeah,
at the right time.
And they're still, it's probably unlikely, given that they don't hold the tiebreak. But right now, technically, they still can clinch the number 1 seed. They'd have to win out and have Toronto lose out, but it's still a possibility. So,
absolutely. Little more around the lineup for scoring for San Diego. Which is something we've been talking about week in, week out, that for a team this high-powered, it doesn't seem like they've all been at the same time being on the same page. Game like this, where you've got guys like Chris Wardle getting his first goal, Westberg doing his thing, Doby with a beauty, Stotts with 4. This is Trey Leclerc. This is one of those games where everybody contributed. Still defensive breakdowns, though.
Interesting, too. No Dixon in the lineup, too, with that.
Right. Again.
Yeah, how many games is that now? He's got to be 3 or 4 now that he's been out of the lineup. So, hopefully this is just I hate to make us sound like the NBA here about the load management kind of thing. Hopefully it's not...
One of the reasons I think they got Chris Wardle was to relieve some of the guys who are a little bit more beaten up down the stretch. You know, guys like Stotts, guys like Dixon. So it's a possibility that Wardle's in because Dixon's out. Because somebody's got to come out
Yeah.
and let him rest. And then if he's in full Dixon mode come playoffs, that brings a whole new realm of hurt to that Seals offense.
Oh, yeah.
So timing is everything. Just like Challen Rogers coming back for the Rock a couple of games before the end of the season to get his rust off and full tilt boogie come playoffs, right? So, you know, timing is everything. But Seals, they win again and put the pressure squarely on Toronto to win this week to keep up. You were going to say something, Mike?
No, just I had made my previous point about San Diego still having a chance. I mean, I guess if Toronto,
Absolutely.
If Toronto wins, they'll pretty much clinch home field throughout. So,
yeah, and they have Rochester on Saturday at home. You know, if we're looking at trends, you know, that doesn't look so good for Rochester, but I've seen stranger things happen, and I saw some stranger things happen this week, which brings me to Saskatchewan and Calgary won. It's a battle of the bad turfs, guys. We'll start off with the blue turf. That'll be Del Bianco shines with 52 saves and highlight reel assist as Roughnecks take battle of the prairies. Why don't we have a look at how this went down, and we'll come back to it.
Curtis, Ontario. The pace back to Cook. King trying to set a screen on Cook. ISO on Bobby Kidd III inside. All alone, Walter on his wrong side, and Del Bianco quickly up ahead. Simpson shot. Good save and a beauty from Chiliano. Back of the net, just been snake bit all season long.
He's got the loose balls. He's got the cause turnovers.
Backdoor cut in the goal. King beats Dixon. Prairie boys in the lineup. Jack Mann shot, saved Del Bianco. Mann again with a glorious opportunity. Up ahead, Matsuoka scores as he takes a hit.
Burton hasn't had a ton of good looks yet. So a matter of time before he heats up.
Triolo finally, just as Salama gets out of the box.
429 fans at night. Electric atmosphere here at the Saddle.
Pace to Dixon. Shot scores! A little stutter step got Adam J on his heels.
Flying down the floor. Take away the transition opportunity. Help out Zach Mann, who looked a little indecisive on how to play that.
Outside rip and a goal. That's a great start for the Saskatchewan Rush. It's a pick there from Pace. It's Tanner Cook. Cook shot wide. Rebound scores! Great job by Jesse King to roll to the middle. Side. Watch there by Enju. Gets a pick from Dixon. Gives it off to Taylor. Taylor spins underneath. Dives. Shoots. Scores! 2 goals. Quick succession. Pace to Cook. 10 on the shot clock for Calgary. Into Holder. Oh my goodness! Bracket. Save it. Hagen Galoo of the sweet mix on number 91.
Draws penalties, gets guys open. And nice to see him get a goal that drop the jaws of everyone in this park.
Pace! Cook to King. Up top. Josh Curtis. Scored! Pulled it short side on Chiliano.
His coaching staff all season.
Church goes widely. The 30 finally bangs one home. Church is first on the power play. 10 on the shot clock. Dodge. Inside, Church couldn't find it. Inside, Clark. Walter scores! Back to back. There's still life in the Rush. Dixon. Cook one-on-one with Keegan Bell. 2 big bodies. Inside flip doesn't connect, but it falls right to Dixon! He's got the hat trick, and it stops the run of the Rush. Cook. Cornwall heads off. Late man is Taylor. 5 on the shot clock. King. Shot around the screen and he scores! Huge goal from the captain.
Alrighty. Might I say that I like the Calgary uniform just because it's not that colorless old rush colors.
Yeah.
That actually has some color to it. God, I wish they could go back to the red.
I'm right with you on that one.
Yeah. You can't get down 4-0 and not score until almost the halfway point of the second quarter and have good things happen to you.
Well, but on the other hand, at the end of the game, they had 62 shots, and there were some good looks. Christian Del Bianco.
Could you imagine if they actually had a couple of goals at the beginning? That's a win.
Christian Del Bianco shut the door. Simple enough. And you could see the frustration in that offense, and that's what Christian Del Bianco does. He frustrates offenses. Saskatchewan dominated almost every single statistical category: face-offs, shots, everything but goals. I don't know how you can fault. Like, what more could the Rush have done?
Like I say, they got to get off to a better start. And when we play the second game and play the press conference, that's that point comes up.
Yeah,
is just better starts to the game. Because if you're playing uphill, and again, I bring it into the playoffs, we're not talking about a middle of the road team, because where Saskatchewan will get in, if they get in, they're playing Toronto or San Diego. You get down 4 or 5-0 to those teams with those defenses, and it ain't going to be an easy trip.
Yeah.
And I don't think you're going to get 60 or 70 shots against those teams. But it's a game where I think even though they had such a slow start, was winnable. They did an awful lot, and they were able to negate a lot of the Calgary transition. Unfortunately, when they weren't able to stop it, it bit them.
Yeah. No, like, I completely agree with that. Again, like, I don't know what to say. I think the effort was there. It's just,
well, I'm not saying they didn't have an effort.
They ran into a hot goalie, right? And that's going to happen,
Well,
especially against Calgary.
What happens if they play Buffalo and they run into a hot Vince?
Yeah, well, I mean, that can happen to any team, right?
They just turn it down and go, well, it wasn't our year.
Yeah.
You have to find ways to do it. And I don't know. Sometimes it comes into running through the crease a few times just to get the message across.
Yeah.
Get them sidetracked. You don't have to make contact. You just have to get them sidetracked enough that they're not 100% focused.
Well, and I think that's, again, going back to your point about getting started early, that's what we see with Del Bianco. If you can get to him early.
Yeah, it's been
downfalling, right? That's kind of his Achilles heel. If you can get to him early, he kind of downfalls from there, which
it's the same thing with Warren Hill.
Yeah.
When you're talking about that. When's the next full game? If you go to the NLL page on Facebook, most of this weekend's full games are there, Matt. So you can catch almost all of them off of the NLL Facebook page. Saskatchewan needed a...
For that game they did, yeah.
Yeah, the 2 Calgary Sask games were the best of the weekend. I agree, especially the second one. When I rewatched that this morning, it was like, wow. So, yeah. All right. And that one's in the books. We did have, I don't know if you call it an upset. Hard to call it a team that's won 4 out of 5 and win another one, an upset. But Halifax went into Vancouver on Friday. And, even though Halifax had the lead for a while, Bull continues torrid pace with 5 goals. Warriors win their 4th straight to stay alive for the playoffs. 15-13 over Halifax. That is deadly for Halifax. And they're spiraling out of the top group. Now they go into the middle section, and it's hold on, and hopefully you have the tie break at this weight or another weight, because they're starting to go into that Buffalo zone in my eyes, and don't have the tie break with this one, and don't have the tie break with that one, and hope to finish ahead of this one, and maybe they, with a bit of luck, they can be ahead of that one. You think, Mike?
Yeah. Those really are the two teams that are kind of in a playoff spot now, but almost seem to be in the most danger. We talked about it off air, and obviously one of those results this week didn't happen, but there's still probably about 6 or 7 teams right now that can all end up at 9-9, which would
It's a real mess.
Yeah, that would be about 6 or 7 teams looking for about 3, 4 playoff spots. So,
yeah, Matt, I had my hands on a Syracuse Smash jersey as well, and it was going to cost me a couple of bucks, and I still may pull that one off, but I have to go see in the storage chests what I have as trade bait to try and knock it down a bit. But yeah, that is a really great one, the Syracuse Smash one.
Yeah.
But okay, why don't we have a look at the highlights of the Halifax Vancouver game, and then we'll get back to what's going on.
Back the other way, reverse transition. Peterson, cross crease scores. Oh, what a setup from Peterson. There's Keegan ball into the middle. Charlotte Beatties, room, shoots, and a weak one. Oh, it's a pass down to Killer. Rebound, chance, Martel scores.
It's actually 4 away now after that one, as he's looking to become the 5th player to reach 1,800.
Oh, another goal here for Halifax, this time from behind the rack once again. Ball bounces to Martel with 14 on the shot clock. Penalty call coming here to Terafenko. Double team coming to Martel, scores! Short side. Looking to improve it. Charlotte Beatties hit the shot. Rebound, scores! Oh, Charlotte Beatties robbed by the butt end of Hill, but ricocheted right to Crowley on the tap back.
Tyson Bell, lady just getting back to the bench now.
There's Keegan ball one more time. He's got the hot stick, scores! That's what I'm talking about. 45 with 2 in a row, and Vancouver within 1. These guys on this Vancouver team that the younger guys can watch and learn from. He knows how to get it done in this league. He's been doing it a long, long time. Here's Hosek, and a rebound, scores! Oh, Halifax right back the other way. Atmosphere inside Vancouver tonight. His ball again down the middle. How did he hang on to that? Scores! Oh, clip it for Keegan ball! And then
to take away that opportunity from Shanks to take advantage.
Charlotte Beatties into the middle. All sorts of room. Scores! And Vancouver is in the lead for the first time tonight.
Penalty of the game.
Ganesh, a low drive quickly. Walsh, a quick outlet here for Bowering. Can he run onto this one? He can. Feet in front, ball short-handed! Scores!
Wasn't that a thing of beauty?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That shorthanded goal was just a thing of beauty. That flip pass was gorgeous. Now, I'm sure that you guys are seeing the same thing I'm seeing, is that this Vancouver team is playing with a ton of confidence. You take a look at Ball's shot, and he's convinced he can score from anywhere. You take a look at Ryan Martel and the way he's crashing the net and diving. This is stuff you didn't see in game 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the season, when things weren't going so great. This team is full of confidence. You look at even Walsh in net. He gives up a goal. You don't see any slumping. He just scoops it out, and we're back to it. That Aaron Bold idea of short-term memory and get back to it is clicking on now.
Actually, sorry, Gary. That's just the point I was going to make. That's actually a coaching decision I love that they made. Is even though they were down, second, third quarter, they kept Walsh in, let him work it out.
Yep.
Let the young guy work it out, and that's exactly what he did.
Exactly, and obviously they figured out that he is their future, and he's got to find ways to, find the inner confidence, not just having somebody pump smoke into him, but find that inner confidence that yeah, I belong here. Yeah, it's going to go in. I'm not going to pitch a shutout. And just shake it off, etch a sketch, boom, we start over. And I see it more and more week in, week out, that that's what he's become. And in the cases when he doesn't, that's when you have an Aaron Bold step in and, there it is.
Yeah.
So, Mike, what's your take on this?
Yeah, I mean, obviously Halifax is reeling, and Vancouver's full of confidence. And that their last two games, I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility for them to finish the season at 500. Whether that's enough to get them a playoff spot, I don't know, but they're hosting New York next week. The finale, a little tougher, week 21 is at San Diego. It's their only meeting, but they, despite their record against San Diego, they've always played the Seals tough the last few years.
This time around, they're a tougher team to play against.
They're very much a different team. So that San Diego automatic San Diego win is not written in stone, I don't think, in this case.
Plus, by that last week, if Toronto has a couple of wins, San Diego might be playing for nothing.
Yeah.
Right. If Toronto's got a couple of wins, not playing for first place, they've already clinched home for the rest of their things. Then it's maybe pull the shoots on a couple of guys and get them some rest.
Yeah, and they can't fall. At this point, they can't fall any farther than second seed San Diego. So
it's funny because Gary mentioning that's kind of my hopes with Saskatchewan is they have San Diego and Toronto who are really playing for nothing. So
but Toronto's still playing for that.
I mean, they did. Yeah, I mean, that's
come last week they may not be.
True.
Very true.
All it's going to take is one win. So as long as Sask can take care of business, but unfortunately for them, it's against.
I know it's a tough road to call. That's the only hope I got, right?
We all need dreams, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
I know. So unfortunately, when we're looking at all these 7-9 teams and what they have left, Saskatchewan probably has the toughest slate, despite both games being at home. So.
Right. All right, let's move on. We move into the Saturday games, and the game that I was at is, of course, Toronto in Albany at the MVP Arena. Nick Rose makes 47 saves and scores a goal as Rock improves to the league best 13-3 record. I thought that Albany looked real good in the first, and then all of a sudden the roof came crashing in the second when Toronto scored 6 times before Albany got a goal. So a 2-1 lead became a 7-3 deficit at the half. And then, of course, the defenses showed what they could do on both sides. And it became a track meet of epic proportions and a lot of defensive work. And the Toronto defense, man, they just reckless abandon, man. They throw themselves in front of shots. They hit tap sticks. They do all kinds of things to change directions to make it a little bit easier for Nick Rose. And when Nick has to make the save, my God, Nick is looking better than ever. There is a real problem if he doesn't win goaltender of the year this year. Unless the roof falls in the next 2 weeks, there is something wrong with his system if he doesn't win it this time around. Though I was a proponent for the last 2. and his numbers backed it up. So let's see. Let's look at the highlights here, and then we'll get back talking about the game.
Good move bid on the Albany defense, guarded by Jokum. And for Jamison to come home with that goaltender of the year, we talked to Matt Sawyer. There's Rogers. Welcome back to the lineup. And what we saw a couple weeks ago is Simmons wide and scores. Albany's going to need some transition when Toronto's not set on the.
You can draw that same connection between some of the best goalies in the league that Rose has been facing. And what a shot, Brendan. Wow.
Holy cow, Chris Boucher. That was a laser beam that zoomed across the middle of the floor. B Lacrosse with the Oakville Rock. And Coach Sawyer has watched him grow into a young pro. And on the move again, this time Mark Matthews came around the screen and punched it in short side. Toronto soared into the stands. A reset for Toronto since there was contact with Albany. Rogers receives a pair of screens. Skip pass from up top to Schreiber. My goodness, Schreiber found the perfect pocket to fire. Just Kurtz is the first man out the door. His rip on the belly of Rose. Desnu in transition delivers. Eighth, the new 30-second shot clock for the Rock. Skip pass, Boucher shovels it in. Oh, Boucher, he got rid of that so quickly. Schreiber defended tightly by Leo Sturz. Finds a cutter, and Lintner scores. 7th goal scorer for Toronto. Lintner cashes in with his 15th play. As we approach a minute left in the third, Albany with the ball in the retro jerseys. The Albany attack unis going back to the early 2000s. Kurtz, nice feed to Firth on the door. Couldn't put it home. He's the lone 2-goal scorer. That's proof that Toronto this year, more than other years, and they score. Matthews. They know how to finish games.
Yeah, they were running Guess That Movie, so maybe you could catch one of the offensive players going, I know who was in The Incredibles.
Maybe a shorthanded bid coming here. Watkinson, happy birthday. And he wants the crowd to engage. By Tom Schreiber, 10 seconds. Rose the save, airs it out, bouncing, Rose scores a goalie goal to cap it for Toronto.
And like I mentioned, I've been there for all 4 of Rose's goals. Pretty much the same MO on all of them. It's funny because when they first picked up Rose, I remember talking with Terry Sanderson, and he had mentioned, of course, Rose's days playing for Orangeville, how he could thread his passes through the eye of a needle, how his accuracy. Well, we're seeing all this now. It's funny, Eduardo had a comment. If Nick doesn't win, people will riot. Even people in Toronto won't riot. They're still down the middle split on whether Rose is the goalie that can win it all for them. I've always liked Nick. I've always thought that Nick worked hard, and his game has improved every year. And the last 3 years, I thought he's been sensational. And yeah, he took a lot of abuse for the playoffs against Buffalo last year. And I'm sorry. Yes, he was responsible for a number of the goals. But the Rock defense that was the best in the league during the year should have taken chairs onto the field, because they sat and watched the Buffalo offense just run circles around them. And as we can attest to watching Philadelphia, when your defense isn't working with you, it is very difficult, no matter what you do, to win games. So things that I took away from this game here is look out. Mitch Desnu looks great in transition. He was playing really chippy game, but not dirty. I think he only took 1 penalty, and that was questionable. The Rock offense. Dan Craig was having a tough time on one side. Chris Boucher was picking him up on the other side. Corey Small. He looked great in this game. Tom Schreiber, a goal and 5 assists. So even when he's not putting in, he covers a lot of attention. Having Challen Rogers back and the attention he garnered because they had him coming out the front door That left, well, at least 2 people open. Mark Matthews doing what Mark Matthews does. 2 goals, 2 assists. But my God, he's drawing penalties. He's doing a lot more than, well, I'd seen him in the last 2 years in Saskatchewan. Now it's almost like the fountain of youth hit him as well. It's funny when a title seems to be within grip. What happens? Albany, what I saw there. I saw Jameson not have the best game of his career. I saw him play really well for 3 quarters. But the second quarter, man, I don't know what happened there. I know he took one off the cage, and I don't know if he was the same the rest of that quarter after that. I don't think he got his bell rung. Nothing wrong with his mask, but just that initial
Rattling a bit, yeah.
That would just be enough to, and with an offense as powerful as Toronto, they only need that little in, and there you go. Offensively, Sam Firth looked good. Ty Kurtz as a feeder looked pretty good. Colton Watkinson, with his shorthanded goal and leadership, looked good. There wasn't a lot of anything else going on. I saw a lot of guys running around aimlessly trying to find a spot to get a shot through all the blocks that Toronto's defense had. But there were just that missing. And it looks like the same thing that's happened in the last, say, 4 games since this losing streak has begun, where the scoring is – you're not beating anybody if you're only scoring 7.
Yeah, that was exactly my question. That was my question: is where's this offense going for Albany? Because we saw Alex Simmons, Marshall Powell, those guys just put up big numbers earlier this season, and now they're just kind of.
Simmons was good at finishing off a couple last night, but really, other than that, I really didn't notice him on the floor. I noticed Marshall Powell a lot on the floor, and he was running around like a chicken with his head cut off, trying to find a spot to either fire a pass or fire a shot. But Toronto did a really good job blocking the lanes, filling in the lanes, shifting, and doing everything else that needed to be done. It really was a textbook performance, with the exception of a couple of the last possessions. That seemed to kill Toronto. If this game was a little bit closer, last possessions at the end of quarters, that's something that needs to be a little bit more focused on, I think, in practice. If there is that chink in the armor, letting your guard down because there's only a couple of seconds left, or, letting that shot, that worm burner that just kind of eludes everything into a far corner. I watched that a couple of times. So come playoff time, that could hurt, when you're going into real tight games. But like the announcers had mentioned, Toronto knows how to finish games. And down the stretch, 9-7 was as close as it was going to get. And if you thought the defense was tight up until the 8-minute mark in the fourth, the noose tightened entirely and completely choked off all of the Albany offense. And it wasn't multitudes of shots. They would get one, and it was coming right back and quickly. So getting into that track meet transitionally, I don't think helped them at all. Defensively, not. They were gasping. And they were still able to hold it. Jameson looked good in the fourth. But they weren't able to do what they were doing in the first, say, 8 or 9 games of the year. Mike, what's your take on this thing?
Oh, it's definitely concerning, especially since their 2 remaining games are away, at Panther City and at New York. So that's certainly, neither of those are gimmies, and Georgia can actually leapfrog them for the number 3 seed with a win and 2 Albany losses. So, or at least 1 more loss by Albany. So,
what do you think is so different from the last 4 games from the rest of the season? What is so different that they're doing or not doing that has created this dilemma?
Could be. I think you alluded to this earlier in the season. when they opened the season, 6-0, not a lot of folks had video on a lot of the new offensive players.
Right. Good point.
Now teams have film, so now they're starting to find and exploit, and figure out how to defend certain set plays, and just understanding how the offense functions.
Is it youth that they're not able to make changes or adapt to some of the defense that they're seeing? Because the offense is flailing. I won't say failing, but they are flailing.
Yeah. I mean, there's a fair amount of inexperience on that team. The most experienced offensive player is probably Walker, right?
Walker or Watkinson, both.
Yeah. So you have Kurtz as a rookie, Simmons is a rookie, Firth has 2 years, not even.
Grennan's got 3.
So, Longboat missed a season, so, he's only got a couple of years. Paulus only has a couple of years. So.
But is that enough for adaptability and to change what you're doing or what you have been doing to try and get a little bit more creative?
I would say maybe not so much adapting, but finding roles or identities for the guys. Maybe like, hey, there's, is there a leader on this offense? Like a bona fide leader versus, we'll just, anyone can handle the ball, anyone can score, anyone can.
Because if I look over at Buffalo, for say, Smith is the quarterback, Byrne is your receiver. Occasionally the other way around, but that's your big one. And then you have Fraser, Cloutier, Nanakoke as the outside guys to really throw wrenches in it. In Toronto, Matthews is your quarterback, or Schreiber, depending on what side you want to look at. And then you have Corey Small, you have Chris Boucher, you have Dan Craig, you have Josh Dalwick, you have Dan Lintner. I could go on. There's a lot of
it almost feels like Albany doesn't have a similar type of structure.
There's not that quarterback.
I mean, it's not to say that they have no structure in place, but
no, I'm not saying that. But I'm saying that one guy who is that setup guy, or 2 guys, depending on what team you're looking at, who's going to quarterback it or going to do all the ins and outs and then feed it. They don't seem to have that guy, or they don't seem to have him now.
Yeah.
And teams are keying off that. And if your offense is running around, then nobody knows where anybody is. So then there's not set plays. It's not blueprinted. So those passes are the ones that are going sailing into the corner because the guy who was supposed to be there isn't there. Or the one you thought was going there is coming this way. You can't play free for all.
All right, so let me throw this in there. Is it 2-part question?
Mm-hmm.
Is it worth trying to implement a system like that this late in the year and take into consideration one Dyson Williams coming in next year?
Let me answer the first part of that. And yes, to implement something, maybe not something that is completely etched in stone, but a little bit more of a, we talked about that before, leader. The one who's going to quarterback, yes. That's your role. That's your role, whatever. Somebody has to take on that particular role. It's how all success is. Take a look at any of the successful teams. Take a look at any of the teams that won in the last 10 years. They've got that guy or guys. It can't be just by committee. And whatever happens, we're going to try and figure it out. Because it may work a couple of times, and it definitely will work on the lesser ranked teams. But once you get up into the big boys play, well, you're seeing what's happening.
Yeah. No,
and it doesn't work. As for with Dyson Williams coming in, I don't think that plays anything into what is going on now, because Albany was looking at first place for the longest point of this year, and now they're slowly making their way to the middle. It's not going to happen that it'll take them all the way out, but you don't want to be going into the playoffs on a 6-game losing streak. That doesn't do a whole lot for young confidence.
True. Well, I think based on your answers, I think the answer needs to be Ty Kurtz. I was going to say Ethan Walker, but if you're, factoring in Dyson Williams coming in next year, I don't think you want your quarterback and leader to be necessarily on the same side as Williams. So I think it needs to be Kurtz.
I don't think it's too late. I think you're right, and I think you got the right guy, Mike. And I saw that at the beginning of the game yesterday, and then they, for some reason, got away from it. And when Kurtz was feeding, they actually looked like the system was in place. But good teams will find a way to bottle him up, and he really wasn't much of an issue the rest of the game. But it took strong defense to do that. I think with a little bit more seasoning and a little bit more practice of set things to do in case ofs that become second nature, as well as his talent already, I think that is a damn good choice. I think you got something there. I think that is the correct guy for that. And if he can feed some of the other bulls that are in there, like Watkinson, and he doesn't have to do that all himself, I think you got something going there. And especially when you got guys like Alex Simmons rolling. Like I say, the opening quarter, they didn't score a lot. They had 2 goals. But the chances that they were getting were quality shots. Whereas in the second, they really didn't look like they were getting anything until near the end of the quarter. And even then, it was only 1. So, something changed. Luckily, where I was sitting was right beside the Rock bench. And, Bruce Codd had meetings continually every time his defense got off the floor. Not long ones, but everybody was turned around listening. And different things and different tries and move this and change that. And then boom. And that's what great defensive coaches do. In my eyes, Bruce Codd is the best defensive coach in this league. And he is adaptable to just about anything that goes on there. Do things go wrong? Yeah, of course they do. But 99 times out of 100, there's a solution and a change. And it's not usually the defense. The last year's playoff, I'll take that out of the equation, where everything went wrong. But what I've seen this year especially, when things haven't been working correctly or not seem to be on the right page, there's a lot of chatter and a lot of communication back and forth and, from everybody. And that's how it's done. And it's the second time that it stood out to me. The one was in Toronto against Halifax a couple of weeks ago when things look a little disheveled. And he had a meeting in between quarters, and that fourth quarter, they were just lights out. This game, continue a little dickering around and changing things and talking with the guys and getting the feel and his 2 cents and everybody being part of it. A good coach is a facilitator that works with his guys and takes input from it. And that's exactly what I was watching. And, to me, that's gold. And that's probably why the numbers have been that good for the last number of years. Just my take on things that I was keying on was where I was sitting, because I was in a prime seat for that. So, Toronto is sitting at 13-3. Everything is in their own hands for that to work. That's exactly right too. Yeah. And when you're not scoring, that confidence just completely goes out of the stick and squeezing the stick. And all the rest of it. And, especially when things are changing on them. And like I say, there was a lot of running around. A lot of running around. So I didn't see that in the first 8 games of the year. But I guess, good point, when the confidence is running low, everybody's trying to be the hero. Everybody's trying to do the best they can for the team. But sometimes they take on a little bit too much, especially young players. In baseball, you can't hit an 8-run home run. You can't score a 3-point goal in lacrosse. So everybody has to get on the same page, even more so, I think, when things aren't working right. Patrick, what's going on? How's the wrestling going, buddy? Have they given you a belt yet? The Gobbler Award. I seen that in the press box they had unlimited cheesesteaks. I don't know how you didn't break down.
Oh, that'd be dangerous for Pat. That'd be dangerous.
That's why he didn't get the credentials. So much. They couldn't afford to put that many cheesesteaks out for Patrick. My. We josh you, Pat. I know you're busy as heck this week with all the wrestling going on and everything going on. I have a few, but it's from yesteryear. I have nothing of thing. I even have summer lacrosse cards. I have a bunch of Victoria Shamrock cards that have been given to me by out west. Really cool stuff. We have a guest, guys.
Oh.
I don't know if he's going to make it on here or not. Mentioned cheesesteak, and all of a sudden.
Oh, all of a sudden he just shows up, does he? Mentioned cheesesteak, and here's the guy.
Here he is.
Yeah.
In between bites.
He's got the sad look on like he didn't get the cheesesteak. It looks like Pat's internet is running like mine normally does here. Slow and
Hello?
I can hear you, Pat, but
Pat.
you're on screen. It's like the Lord is speaking to us. Hello?
There he is.
Oh, man.
Pat, you're back. Oh, he's gone.
He's gone.
I think maybe sign off and come back on, and we'll see where we go from there. While we're and he's back again. Any better, Pat? He's got the same look on his face, though. He's got that look that the Wings had at the last 5 minutes of the game.
Oh boy.
Oh.
I take a pot shot. I'm sorry. While Pat gets this together, why don't we get together with the Rochester and New York thing? And T combines continues to amaze with 4 goals, 5 assists as Riptide improve their playoff chances with a big road win. As T goes, right?
Yep.
Why don't we look at the highlights and see exactly where this went right for New York and where this went wrong for Rochester, because it doesn't get any easier for Rochester. They got Toronto in Toronto and Hamilton next week. So let's have a look at the highlights.
Now to Teat. Back near side. Taken there by Keo. Far side. The shot by Teat. He scores. Over to Keo looking. Steers it across to Teat. In front of the net. The shot. He scores. What a pretty feed. Teat to O'Connor. A right arm save by Dunkerley.
Nice job by Dunkerley holding his ground.
Fed in front to Smith. He shoots, and this time he scores. Just over 6 to go here in the second. Lansbury gets free, shoots, and scores. Kiernan to Matisse. Near side to T, looking for the hat trick. Shooting, he scores, and he's got it. For New York. Sundown, near side Matisse. Back in the slot, the shot, he scores. And O'Connor scored the goal, and then you see the extracurricular stuff going on as Tyler Biles, he cut across the middle. Lansbury picks it up. Grab by Knight. Knight shooting, he scores! Curtis Knight. Flip pass up top. That's grabbed by Fields, getting away, looking, feeds it in front, the shot, he scores! And Waters buries it, and that's point number 100. And that one is played on ahead, and here comes New York. Breakaway opportunity, in on goal, the shot, he scores! Mitch Wild.
That's a 10th shorthanded goal that Rochester's given up this season. That is worst.
Picked up by Turner Evans to McConvey shooting. That's knocked down. Lansbury shoots and scores!
All right. Well, first of all, let's talk about the good news. Rylan Hartley is back in the Rochester lineup. I am happy, and I'm
confused.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit concerned is what I am.
Yeah, I was going to say concerned.
I'm more
Hopefully
concerned than
he's-
confused. Talking with his mother a couple of weeks ago, I know he was back working and I know he was getting healthier. I am just concerned with a gentleman with that many concussions. I'm very happy to see him back doing what he loves. Don't get me wrong. I don't know if at the end of this season would have been the right thing to do, or maybe a little bit long. Obviously, he got cleared, but maybe a little bit longer, in my eyes, would have been a better thing. Am I off board?
No, I'm right with you, Gary. Even just to take the off season, just to figure out if this is the right thing to continue doing. And again, I'm with you right from the start, Gary. Like, I know he loves lacrosse. I know he wants to be back, but for his own
He's
health,
a champion. Let's not get that wrong.
Yeah,
He's a Minto Cup
No,
champion.
I'm-
He's got great legacy. He's got great will, but health is health.
it's a concussion. It's a brain injury.
Yeah.
It's very serious, and he should be, and I'm sure he is. Don't get me wrong again. But maybe he should take that off season, just figure out if this is the right thing to do for his health, for his long-term health.
Yeah, I agree. I just again, I am happy to see him back because I'm glad to see him getting healthy.
Absolutely.
I just think with a couple of games left in the season, Hutchcraft has done great so far. Yeah, has he been a stud at times? Buckham is confident backup, competent backup.
Yeah.
It's not dire that he gets in the net, and God forbid that it comes just a hint too soon. That worries me. We've watched
and
a number of players.
I think the reason I said confused is more just the fact that when I looked at the box score, it was like, okay, you put him in for all of 20 seconds of play where he faced one shot and it went in. Well, what was the point?
It was pull the goalie, and he's quicker into the net than Buckham. That's the only thing I can see. I just don't understand why he dressed. But I say obviously he was cleared. But when you have a history of that, shouldn't
Even
that
when
be
you're cleared, even when you're cleared, I would still, sit back and just think, is this the right thing to do?
Now was Hutchcraft put on IR?
Nothing that I've seen
for the game.
Well, I think you only have two goalies, right? Maybe you give him maybe he had something to do, or
short-term holdout, maybe
just for a bit. I'd be more interested to see in Toronto who's on the bench. I will be very, very curious. First off, being there for pregame, and then seeing who doesn't dress, because there's nothing that doesn't surprise you. Nothing on the NLL website about it. But that took me a little off guard. I didn't expect that. And like I say, mixed feelings on that one, and not because I'm not happy for him being healthy, because we've been praying for that. But man,
It's maybe a concern for his long-term health, like you said. Yeah.
Well, like I said, Eduardo got that. It's not a concussion; it's multiple concussions.
No, exactly.
True.
Yeah.
And we're all shocked to see him in there. And
yeah,
like I say, obviously there's a lot more to it than we know. And obviously the team doctors, management, everything else is in on it, because you're not going to throw away, let alone a career, but everyday life. Multiple concussions.
that's why I say long-term health, right? It's maybe he feels fine now, but again, they're brain injuries, right? Just down the road.
Yeah, you got to be ever so careful about that.
Yeah.
Getting to the game though, Jeff T. And then when you're not watching him, Stephen Keogh.
Yeah.
Doing Stephen Keogh-ish things. Another highlight reel goal. But New York puzzles me also, because they do it. It's like it's second nature for a while, and then it's like they've never done it before. The consistency just isn't there. And if by some way a defense is able to contain Teat to 6 points, 4 points, there goes the New York offense.
Kind of similar to Buffalo, hey? Like, if you can kind of even shut down Keogh so he can't feed Teat.
Yep, or O'Connor for that matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of them, just throwing a wrench in there somehow. Teat's going to get his points, so it's about limiting his points.
Yeah.
He's just so good. And I say I've watched him since he's been a young boy, and he's just get better and better and better. And the most accurate shooter I've seen ever.
Well, I was going to say that one goal, he was stepping backwards when he took the shot. Like,
yeah.
Who does that? Like,
and it doesn't matter. You can have a misfire that's off the ground, and for some reason it just finds the net. Great players have, all kinds of ways to score. Just you go back through the decades and you'll see that. But, this is finesse, because he's not a big guy. It's funny, we Brent and I were talking about, the gates this morning. And did you want to pay the price as a defenseman and get run over and he's still going to score? Or are you going to move out of the way or whatever? Whereas Teat is finesse and accuracy and technique and God-given skill. And it all rolled into one package. I don't know. And the best is yet to come with him. Could you imagine him on a team where, put him on Buffalo, put him on Toronto, where there's other options that they can't double team him, and he's that free.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the numbers?
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Instead of having to carry a house every game. But it's funny. I think back, Troy Cordingley and I were sitting, and Jeff Teat was still playing junior for Brampton, and we were at the track, and Cordingley looks at me and goes, it's just like watching Gretzky, because he's got such good vision of the floor, and he can see the hit coming, that he's able to just maneuver enough that they don't get him flush, which is why he never gets hurt. Interesting. And that was a number of years ago. He's only gotten smarter and bigger now. And all the other skills have been honed to what they are to the nth degree. So can you imagine in a couple more years when he's, fully rolling? He's going to eclipse a lot of numbers real soon.
Yep.
But, man, I just look at, if he had the opportunity to play on some of these other teams,
Let's think if he just had the help. Yeah.
Well, look at John Grant when he moved over to to Colorado. Yeah, after the Rochester years, and so many other things that went. The numbers just were, Colin Doyle coming back to Toronto, and in the 2010, 2011 years, when Billings was young, Stephane LeBlanc were young, both Rookie of the Year candidates, as well as Cam Woods, Casey Behrens, and all the rest of those guys that won the championship in 2011. And you take a look at the points that he was able to accumulate because they couldn't double team him or triple team him like he was over in San Jose when he was with the Stealth, because he was the firepower there. And I reckon that to something like Teat, if he had that ability. It's mind-boggling what he can do. But we'll see if they can stay consistent. They can be a real force to be hampering some other teams' championship aspirations, shall we say. Certain teams, I think other teams don't want to play. New York on a good day, Buffalo on a good day are teams that a lot of teams want to stay away from. Yeah, or they might want to take their chances with any of the other 5 that are left over. Just putting that out there is something to think about and maybe chat before the playoffs commence. Once we have a better clue of who's going to play who, or who's even in the damn thing, because even that's clear as mud still. All right, let's go over to Georgia and Vegas, and of course Georgia clinched with this victory. And Jackson leads the way with 4 goals. The Swarm clinched a playoff berth. That's something we haven't heard in a long time, eh? Jackson with 4 goals.
Yeah.
Jackson leading the offense. It's been interesting when Georgia's had a tough time. Pieces of their offense have stopped also. And Jackson was a big part of them winning. And when his part of the offense dried up, they were starting to have a tough time, relying totally on Andrew Q and Lyle Thompson. But, if they have that back in, as well as a couple of the others, Seth Oakes and Brian Cole, this will be a real juggernaut at the right time. So this could be a very interesting playoff for, it's always interesting, but I have a Spockian eyebrow that raises every time I look at different scenarios and who's going to meet up with who and who's getting hot and who's getting healthy, and to see what kind of homework has been done. And then it starts going into coaching staffs. Let's look at the highlights here, and then we'll get back into this game.
But outscored nonetheless. About 11 scored per ball game and given up for a fair. Bounced in. 1-1. Oakes picks up the loose ball. Seth Oakes, 2 consecutive games without a point. Speaking of collecting points, it's Captain Clutch himself, Andrew Q. Jack Hanna in the middle. Give off. Good look and score! Zach Greer, who...
That's it. Here we go. Little transition break.
Wiedemann. Thompson. Score! LT4. And you know who that was? That was Seth Oakes. Bounce shot in. Hey, look who this is. 3 on the year, is that right?
Yes.
He does. Goaltender assists are up across the league. At least it feels that way.
The athleticism off the charts of late. Speaking of athleticism.
Oh, baby. Oh, baby. We'll bring a one-man advantage for the homeboys in blue. Bounce shot in. Shane Jackson.
Doing that. Seth Oakes, who scored a goal. He hadn't scored in a couple of games. Lyle Thompson, 3 points in the first half.
Q! In effect on the 5 minute. Another Another one bounced in. They'll get 2 on the penalty, and we're leveled at 8-8. Great look. Save made. Put back in. Highlight reel type stuff. By Cole. Up to Q. Andrew, an expert at these long shots. He gives off to Cole. Brian will rip it and score! Holy smokes! Of course, something cataclysmic would have to happen, frankly, for Georgia to not make the playoffs in some way. Charlie Bertrand goes right over the top. 11-4 was their record. Second place in the division. That was a team that was trending up, however. Q gets one through. Captain clutches on the hat trick, and his team finished that year at 9-9. Played a famous game in this building for Georgia Swarm fans. That one bounced in by Shane Jackson. It's up to a 3-goal lead. That's what it takes, right? Did it get through? Yes, it did. Shane Jackson. How in the world did that one get through Kells?
And there you have it. And all the names we're talking about check all the boxes. Seth Oakes, Brian Cole with a couple of beauties. These are names that have been missing when they weren't winning. And names that were predominantly on that score sheet when they were. It can't just go through Lyle. What I'm noticing, though, is that offense is being spread around beautifully there. Vegas. A lot of upside. Bertrand looked better. A lot more in sync, but they're still a level away from where they need to be.
Yeah,
definitely. I mean, this game, they tied up the game at 8. Late in the third quarter, and. I thought that might actually be the turning point for Vegas to steal that game. I had actually picked Vegas to win. Bomberry picks up a 5-minute major, and Georgia kills about 4 minutes and 10-15 seconds of it, and then Vegas strikes with 2 quick goals and ties the game at 8, at the end of the third. I thought there was a chance, I guess the other things that stood out to me are, obviously it hurt them to lose Zach Greer to an injury sometime in the second quarter there. You have to wonder if that kind of stalled the offense a bit. And, Jack Hanna had 6 assists, but couldn't find the back of the net. So, that's going to be one of those things kind of going forward,
Yeah.
He's going to be that guy on the right side that they're, going to demand, 2-3 goals a night out of.
And I guess just kind of looking at this sorry, I was just going to say, just from those highlights too, I know we brought it up before, is Landon Kells the answer in net? Those looked like some soft goals that got by him, some that he probably would want back.
Question for you guys. Is Sean Williams the right guy for this job now? He's had a couple of years to try and mold and shape this team. I love Sean. I love what he does with the juniors. I know he's a great coach. I know he's a great guy. I know he's a motivator. I know all of that. I've watched him in action for years. Is he the right guy for this to do both jobs? We're talking about it with Paul Day. Is he right for both jobs? Or should he concentrate on one or the other?
I guess let me counter with how many coaches in the league right now are both head coach and GM. There's probably about 4 or 5 of them, right? Glenn Clark, right. Paul Day, Williams, Patrick Merrill.
You count Derek Keenan, he's a co-head coach.
I guess we'd call it. Yeah, let's call it separate, just for the purpose.
For the argument's sake.
Yeah, because I mean, like Tavares, I think is probably considered an assistant GM in Buffalo, but
which is ironic since Tugger is assistant coach and GM.
Yeah. I think most people just consider him the head coach. So I'm sure there's someone else we're missing somewhere.
Anyways, I'm just curious. Does Vegas need to look at something different, or do they just hold on and hope they draft in a pretty deep draft?
I think you need to. I think you need to keep him. And
He's trying to go a different direction.
Yeah.
Where they cut Reinhold.
I see what Gary's coming from. I think you need to keep him. I'm just.
I mean, for
Because
me,
this is his first head coaching job in the NLL, right? And maybe it is too much at this point in his career, coaching at the pro level.
That's a good point because I mean everyone else we mentioned has more head coaching experience than he does.
Vegas right now is getting decent attendance, but if the team doesn't do any better, it's really hard to sell a team that's in the bottom 7 in the league perennially. First couple of years, sure, it's still an expansion team. Yeah, we're growing. Come grow with us. Eventually, that gets old, and people want winners. You see it in Saskatchewan, Sean.
Oh yeah,
to market a winner. It's not nearly as easy to market a mediocre or rebuilding team.
Yeah.
To a group that's not always in the same area that have to make an effort to get to a game. And that's the Vegas landscape as well. And I don't think they want to paper the house. And right now, they're the cock of the walk as far as I've heard for in-game and in-game presentation. And making visiting fans feel good. Everything I've seen and heard have been spectacular about it. I would hate to see that change and hate to see that become an emptier place when it doesn't have to be. So do we leave well enough alone, or is there, you give them one more draft and year at it before something's got to be done sooner or later?
Yeah, I think you need to give him at least one more year.
Yeah,
and if you're going to take something away, I think it needs to be GM responsibilities.
That's kind of my thought was
and not the head coach, and that's just coming from the perspective of all the talks we've had about people in Philly wanting to fire Paul Day, people in Rochester wanting to fire Mike Hazen. Who is going to replace them? Your coaching pool is 10 times smaller than the goalie pool, which we always talk about is.
Well, we went through that last week, and we actually found a number of names, right? And a name that we didn't mention that I came up with also was we talked about Darius Kilgore, but Rich Kilgore as well.
Yeah.
That came up. So there is a handful of guys. It's whether they want to commute. I really don't think Cordingley is in that pool. Cordingley was happy to get out of coaching in Buffalo and become an assistant GM. That's why it shocked me when he went over to Vancouver.
The Vancouver job,
yeah, which was actually an assistant job before all the changes happened, and then he became the coach, and then and then he went over to Calgary with Sanderson and Sanderson.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And speaking of Vancouver, Molosky would be another one who's head coach and GM.
Yeah.
So.
And again, another guy comes with a ton of experience that maybe Shawn doesn't have. And again, that's the thing too. If you're looking at the coaching pool, maybe if like the Kilgores aren't interested in coaching or commuting anymore, again, you're probably going to go back to who are those junior coaches that are going to make that jump into their first NLL. So you're back in the same situation again, right?
Right. So so we leave well enough alone, I guess. But again, the rope has to be getting shorter at this stage. It's 3 years in now, so you give them another year, 4 years. We're talking about 5-year plans usually. So we're coming to the end of that.
Yeah.
So let's see. All right, let's move on to Calgary, Saskatchewan 2.
Part 2.
But a more feisty of a game.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Mans drops a hat trick to lead the Rush to the split of home and home and a battle of the prairies. All right, let's watch the highlights and we'll come back.
Cross for Walter. Walter has some room to shoot. Zips around Callie's back for Wingriniuk. Wingriniuk inside. Count it. What's up, brother? Cam Wingriniuk has his third of the season. Zach Mans is in the corner. Does it on the shot clock. Mans on the roll. Kicks it out for Church. Church inside. Keenan 5-hole scores. The captain stings one. 5-hole. And the Rush are up by 3. Tanner Cook now. 22 goals on the season. Didn't like that hack he got. Swim move around Bell to the net, and he scores. A beauty by Cook, and the Roughnecks have 3. Set up. Just over 9 minutes to go here in the opening half of play on Co-op Field. Robert Church, Zach Mans up top, flips it. Keenan over to Church, quick stick, scores. Tic-tac-toe. And Robert Church on the power play has his second of the game.
You're going to commercial, but thought you'd get a sip of water here, Cody, but I guess not.
Mike Triolo up top. Jared Smith will stay in play. Triolo, far side, scores. It's the 6'8 sniper who puts one under the bar. Right down the middle. Defenders let him walk down Main Street. He misses the mark. Here goes Messenger the other way, though. 3-on-1. Messenger, flip back. Bell takes it, and he scores. Keegan Bell's got his third of the season. Shot up high. Zach Mans with it. Over for Robert Church. Church had 6 points in the opening half. Church back for Mans. Little inside move to the net, and he scores. Count it. 2 for number 2, and Saskatchewan has 11. David Dixon will trail him. Dixon scored in the opening quarter. Down for pace. Now it's King. Got himself free out in front, and he scores. Perfect finish by Jesse King. He's a member of Team USA at the World Championships this fall. Kazevnikov put it on goal. Del Bianco made the save. Now it's an outlet for Shane Simpson. Simpson picks it up on a breakaway, and he scores. Shane Simpson tucks one home for his 16th of the season. Church is going to have to grab it off the wall. 4 to shoot. Mans inside. Oh, paint the top corner green. Throw those hats. Zach.
Okay. Throw those hats, Zach. Okay. Well, of course, this time around, quicker start. Just before we get rolling, let's listen to Quinlan and Zach Mans in a press conference.
What are your overall thoughts on how the team just bounced back tonight?
Yeah, we said we needed to play desperate, and we played desperate. And so, again, our start was crucial, and we had a really good start. We did a good job with our game plan and shooting the ball. And then we never really took our foot off the gas. So I think that's probably our best 60 of the season, and we desperately needed to keep our lives, ourselves alive.
Not sure of all the tie-breaking situations, but pretty much have to win out now.
I couldn't tell you. I mean, we're going to play the one in front of us. There's probably some scenario that we could maybe make it in at 8 and 10, but our goal and our mindset is to win out. And so we'll just worry about San Diego next week. We got a tall task, and we're excited for it. We got the top 2 teams in the league, and we feel like we can play with anybody, and we're happy to be able to be in control of our destiny. So yeah, we're gonna worry about San Diego, and then we'll worry about Toronto in 2 weeks.
From your point of view, what was the difference from last night compared to tonight?
Yeah, I really, I thought we played well last night. Obviously, we struggled to finish the ball. I think anytime you get 62 on net and 90 some towards the goal, you can't knock the effort. I think we were just a little bit better in terms of our details. That would be it in terms of shooting the ball, specific assignments defensively. Frankie was awesome. So again, it was, we had 24 hours to regroup and go through some video and make some adjustments, and credit to that group in there because they did everything we asked and more.
You talk about next games coming up. Still, mathematically, still have a chance. What's the message moving forward?
The message moving forward is to start on time and to play as a like a desperate team. And so when we do that, we're really good. So that's what we're going to be doing. Perfect. Thank you.
Zach, it was a big game. How did you feel about the performance from the team? Big bounce back performance.
Yeah, I thought we were due for a good performance. I thought our previous game against them, I thought we put together a pretty strong effort. I thought if we shot the ball better, I think we maybe would have had a little bit of better luck. But we were going into this game with the exact same mindset as last game: get through the middle, work hard, and just do all the little things right. And it worked out for us in the end.
What do you think was the difference tonight versus last night?
Honestly, just hitting our shots. Right, we put over 60 on Delubs last game and didn't score that many. And I think we shot with a purpose early from the start, and it showed on the scoreboard.
How important was it to get a good start tonight?
I think it's the most important thing in this league is having a strong first 5 minutes and then just letting the game progress after that.
What's your thought on special teams, shorthanded and power play? Looked like you guys were doing a little bit better this time around.
Yeah, that's been a focus for our group in the last couple of weeks. We haven't been great throughout the season, but this is the perfect time to kind of dial in those things.
There you have it. You both said that, right? Quick starts.
Yep.
Quick starts.
Yep.
If these slow starts are killing, I watched it with a number of teams, killing them. So if they're on the ball, get to these goalies early, they're susceptible.
I was going to say this game shows what would have happened the night before if they could have got to Dubs earlier. Because I think Del Bianco, like other than Del Bianco, the Rush really outplayed them in Calgary.
Yeah.
It's just they couldn't find an answer to him.
Young team.
Yeah.
Young team making mistakes and weren't able to capitalize. Second time around, maybe learn something from the night before, changed a few things, and caught Calgary a little bit flat-footed.
Yeah.
Also, we're a lot feistier. They weren't pushovers at all. And I think that got Calgary off their game a bit, which opened up a little bit more floor.
Yeah, well, this
is the kind of game that Saskatchewan needs to play.
This Rush offense is very dangerous when it can get going. We're talking about Mark Matthews. The other guy in that trade was Mans. He probably had one of his best games in a Rush uniform. He's had a career
Looked like
season
beginning of the
in
year
general.
where he had, I think, 4 hat tricks in a row. And he couldn't miss. And
yeah.
He's got such a great shot. That's the one thing I always admired when he was playing in Toronto. He's got such a powerful howitzer of a shot, and it's accurate. So if he's able to extend his arms and get these things flying, look out, because he'll pick corners like Teed. It's just
100%.
There's times when his positioning and where he is he's his own worst enemy at times, where he can't get his arms extended because of where he's situated. Sometimes he has to, readjust before he just fires.
Yeah.
And if he can do that and be that much of a catalyst, then the other guys open up too.
Well, that's the thing. Like looking down this lineup, I mean, the talent is there. Clark Walter can score. When Dodd's on the floor and he's making right decisions, there's times where I feel he's a little hesitant. He can score. We know he can score. Mans can score. Church, Keenan, Kostiuk, he can score. Triolo's had a great year. Like there's talent there.
Right.
It's just putting it all together, right?
And that's just time. And it is a rebuild.
Yeah.
But I think the two guys who are the best coaches for this is Keenan and Quinlan, who, yes, they want results, but yes, are also patient. And yes, are also good to help instead of criticize the mistakes. So these guys can grow. So there's a lot of hope in there. Whether this is a playoff where they can make some noise or get into the playoffs and make noise, time will tell. A couple of breaks here and there. But they have a rough schedule to the end.
Yeah. And either they do, maybe they're not making it far, but again, this is a young team that, as you said, give it time. I think even a year or two down the road, this could be a dangerous team.
Right.
And you still have Levi Anderson coming. It was going to be a huge cog in that offense. Yeah.
Mike, what do you think?
I agree with everything Shawn said. I mean, they're as much as they may be in a quote unquote rebuild right now, that most of the core on both sides of the ball is going to stay together, for the next 5 to 7 years probably.
Mm-hmm.
So the team is going to be dangerous. I think they're dangerous enough right now that they could steal a couple of wins here and force a tie.
I mean, I would probably take a little heat on this, but with San Diego coming up, San Diego's not going to want to get a track meet with this Saskatchewan team.
No, I don't think
at all.
I don't think they can compete with that.
No.
Young legs against beaten up legs this year. Not even saying that they're older, but they're been beaten to a pulp in their wins, finding ways to win, and they haven't done it the easy way. So that takes a toll.
And we've seen what happens if the teams get caught on their heels with this rush team.
But it's also you don't want anything to happen to your players going into the playoffs, a couple of weeks out of the playoffs. There's another reason to stay away from doing things like that.
True.
Yeah.
So, it's preventative, which is, you don't want to be reactive with something like that, especially something that may affect you a couple of weeks later in the playoffs. And, the last thing that San Diego wants is another upset early exit. And if it becomes because they were trying to keep up the speed of Saskatchewan on a game that didn't matter to them from the end, that's not a good look. So we'll see how that plays out. Yeah. We had one more game of this marathon weekend that happened this afternoon. I was able to catch the second half of the game and still shook my head. I thought after Paul Day's after his press conference, his emotional press conference, that this Philly team would have gone through a wall. And they gave him about 38 minutes. Maybe if they gave him 42 minutes, this is a win in their pockets. But there's still things that just aren't right there. Jason Knox scores 4, has 4 assists for the big home win. Let's look at the highlights and see where it went right and where it went wrong.
11 goals the last 5 games. First one out every game prior to the start. Little behind the back. Crawford scores!
With Coach Day before the game, he talked about how Panther City likes to push transition.
Right.
They're doing a great job.
Oh, and they get Day mood. The quick move by Blaze Reardon. 3 minutes to go here in the first. A quick feed again of Will Malcolm. Tried to feed the middle. They're still able to keep control of the ball. Great defense by Philadelphia. Malcolm with 4 on the shot clock. Shot score from the left side.
We have the Malcolm brother connection against Philly, where their opponents, when they've scored first, have gone 1 for 8. So,
and a shot score by Katoni.
Lead to 3. That's going to help him a ton going into the second half.
Again, we talked about Mitch Jones, Holden Katoni, Joe Resitaritz. Very powerful offense. They can do it. Shot score. There's one of them. What a rifle from Joe Resitaritz, getting his second of the afternoon. Stardust already with a couple of goals this afternoon. Nice ball movement by Philadelphia. A little behind the back. Shot score!
Loose backhand goals.
Leclerc, no place to go. Good defense, Panther City. Inside of 8 on the shot clock. Leclerc still looking. This time he rifles it, gets his own rebound behind the back. What a goal! How about that pass, though, from Leclerc that set everything up?
And that was an incredible job by Wagner and just his awareness to get around those Panther City defenders.
Tried to sneak one in and the game is tied. 50 seconds left in the power play for Panther City.
And that's really who they need to get the ball back in their stick is Jason Knox.
Quick shot low. You say it, he'll do it this season.
And he's done a great job clearing it and pushing it in transition for Panther City today.
Crawford has to give it up. Little fake shot. Scored! Jonathan Donville.
What a fake by Donville. Really.
Okay. That last goal by Donville. Where's the defense? He's alone. It's a tie game. Couple of minutes left in the game.
Same story, eh? Same old story, eh?
Can't happen. There was another goal where they're talking about how great the Philly defense was, except for one thing. You had 3 defensemen on 2 Panther City guys. The ball gets flipped to the third guy. He's alone.
Yep.
Guess what? He scores. These things are killers. Did Philadelphia play well enough to win today? Yes. Yes, they did. But it comes back down to defensive breakdowns. And the defense and Higgins did not play that badly. You know, most of the time, that would have been enough for them to get a few more goals and win. But you're taking penalties in the last 4 minutes of the game.
I was going to say, sorry, Gary. I was going to say, in general, Panther City had 10 power plays. 10. How can you win a game when, penalty minute wise, you're nearly over a quarter in the box?
100 people in attendance rest out those 100. Yeah, I get that. I get that. But the baseball umpires probably came in to ref the game. Yeah. Yeah. But that's what I mean. These penalties, when you see that kind of reffing, you need to be walking on eggshells. And I know if it's not your game, that becomes a very difficult thing. But I don't know. A penalty in the last couple of minutes, unless it's an assault, that's just robbery.
Yeah,
that's determining the game in a tie game.
Yeah, but the other issue here is the refs took none of the 66 shots that were fired on.
Yeah,
that's true. That's true.
And that goes back again to what Gary was saying. Higgins didn't play that well.
I'm not letting the
because
defense
we've been
problem,
talking about this all season. It
Yeah.
just they allow so many shots and.
but it's also
it goes back to what Gary said.
Missed assignments.
Yeah.
How do you leave Donville alone with just a couple of minutes left in the game when he's a sniper? And sure enough, he picks the short side. It just doesn't jive with me. Malcolm, you're leaving him open. You went to the 2 guys in the center, and it just doesn't jive with me. I know they're all trying to do everything they possibly can, but they're trying to overdo things. You can't hit the 11-run home run. You can't score the 3-point goal. We just talked about this in other games. Everybody has to do their job. Not everybody else's job. I can't do yours. I can't do his. Yeah. I can see that too. I just after Dave's press conference last week, my big thing was that Philadelphia. I picked them this week to win. That they were going through a wall for him, and I saw more life today than I had in any of the last few games, especially. But against Saskatchewan, I think came to mind the most, where I saw it was lifeless.
Yeah.
This is the opposite. I can't really blame the energy of the team. I just think there's a number of factors involved in this one. Because again, Panther City is good, not great. I just I don't want the press clippings to put them here. I don't. I think they're here.
No. And you're talking about defense. We've been harping on it all year. It's the same problem over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
What's the answer to that?
Yeah, but there has to be a way around that because I've seen some strange officiated games. The Halifax Toronto one comes to mind, where neither team was happy by the end of it. Ironically, I think Halifax was angrier at the refs than Toronto, and even when I rewatched it, I sat there and I just scratched my head on it. I'll rewatch the Philadelphia game tomorrow and see what I can look at and what I can deduce from what I've seen that other than the obvious, and look for certain little things on either side. It's not to be picking on any one team in particular, but it's just there has to be something. It's almost to be a forgettable kind of a year when it comes to that. But why don't we have a look at the standings and work our way from that. So if we look right now, obviously Toronto's sitting in first, 13-3. San Diego 12-4. That's still up for grabs, depending on a few things we've talked about. Clinched now is Albany and Georgia at 10-6 and 10-7 respectively. Buffalo is sitting in fifth, 9-7, but Halifax right on their tail at 9-8. New York at 8-8. And then we have Panther City, Calgary, and Saskatchewan and Vancouver, all with 7 wins. Panther City with 7.
That needs to be updated. Panther City's 8-8 now with the win over Philly.
8-8.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So in actuality, Panther City would be in number 7 right now, and New York would be the 8th seed.
Okay.
Panther City has a tiebreaker on New York.
All right, and then we're looking at Vegas has been eliminated.
Yep, and Philly has been eliminated.
Philly would be eliminated,
now as well, yeah.
So and Colorado's
on the cusp
there, but yeah, they're pretty much more or less.
They're on the cusp. Next week is that's D-Day.
Yeah, you kind of look at that 10 loss mark, right? 10 may get you. It's going to be FE.
8 and 10 isn't getting you in this playoffs.
No, it's like I said, it's
and tie breaks.
I think you're looking at 9-9 at the most, but yeah.
But they do have a double header, so they're playing they're home against Philly and then they're at Las Vegas. So
Eduardo. yeah. Well, 7 and 9, you still have a shot. It's getting less and less of one, but I wouldn't even call that a tragedy when you look at the seasons. This season, and watching Vancouver develop morph into the team that they are having. Looking at the upcoming games, you got Rochester and Toronto. Not an easy one for Rochester. Toronto's still fighting for that. They still have something to play for, fighting for first overall for that clinch. Sean's hoping it happens next week so that they can maybe relax the week after. Calgary into Buffalo. Again, that's not an easy game on either side. It's a track meet in my eyes. And, let's see. Can Smith and Byrne, can they solve Delbs?
Yeah.
Or do they let Delbs run wild?
Again, Buffalo has to get to Delbs early, right?
That's exactly.
Yep.
And Buffalo is notorious for starting quick and then stopping and then restarting and then stopping. I think a flow needs to happen.
So you have to be careful because if you give Delbs any type of momentum to get back into
Buffalo starts really quick and Buffalo ends really strong. And in the middle, they can go to sleep for a while.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We got San Diego in Saskatchewan. That'll be a big one.
And like I said, it could be interesting. Like if Saskatchewan can turn that into a track meet, which San Diego doesn't want.
Well, you know that the evil genius in Keenan and Quinlan will be certainly working out plans how to exploit older legs late in the season.
And do you think Frankie will be playing with a chip on his shoulder a bit too?
Oh, I'm sure he will be. I'm sure he will be.
Yep.
But he needs to stay focused.
Yeah.
If he loses focus, they will ping shots from everywhere. They are that good.
And that is my concern, is where Chiliano struggles is kind of those more outside shots where that's kind of what San Diego is kind of a sniper team. They're not really going to come in close too much on you.
Only Stotts is going to do that. Yeah. And, guys like Berg, Leclerc, they're Dunbar, they're all going to fire.
Yeah.
Rear back and fire. Dobie will come inside a little bit, but mostly fire from the side of the net.
Yeah.
It's Stotts that'll come in like a bull in a China store. Anyways, Colorado plays Vegas. So that one is up for grabs.
They actually play two on Friday. They play Philly, Colorado.
I missed that, did I? Yes, I did. Look at that. There it is. In Colorado.
And that's a big one because, again,
well, that'll dictate
the
what
worse,
happens.
the worse Colorado does, the better Philly's first round pick is. So, Philly's going to want to win that game so that they can knock Colorado down a peg. And
Yep.
Now, a game that's circled on my calendar is New York and Vancouver. And if the Rock game lets out when it does, I should be able to get home just in time to catch this game in its entirety. Because New York and Vancouver are two of the up-and-coming teams in this league. And I think that this is going to be one hell of an entertaining game, over and above anything. And then for pure entertainment value, also, Albany and Panther City, which I put them about level right now. Maybe even a slight edge to Panther City because they have their systems in place. But Albany has to do something to right the ship. 4 losses, you don't want to have a 5th loss in a row. Ask Rochester about that. It's just too hard to undig yourself out of the muck.
Yeah, that's going to be big for Panther City. They need to get that win because they follow up in week 21 against Calgary. So
Eduardo's got 6 of his 7 picks in already. He missed the first one because I missed the first one.
Yeah, and it's gonna be really a must win for Vancouver too. I mean,
well, they want to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
No, there's no off days with this.
Yeah, and that's not to say that New York can afford to lose that game, but their last game is home against Albany. So
yeah. Well, and you also made a good point too, Mike, this week that at least from Saskatchewan's standpoint, Panther City and Calgary still have to play each other.
Yeah.
Which could play in their favor a little bit.
Yeah, because you've got those, well, now that Panther City won, I mean, they're not in that group, but, had Philly won that game, you would have had basically 4 teams tied for 8th place at 7-9.
Yeah.
You would have had Panther City, Calgary, Saskatchewan, and Vancouver.
Right.
So.
All right, let's leave it there. I just want to remind everybody, the next 2 weeks, we will be at 11 a.m. on Sunday. One is for, an event I have to be at in the evening. And the second week is I have to catch a plane to Prague. They won't wait for me to finish the show. So 11 a.m. next week and the following week. Just a reminder that we are on Facebook, we are on Twitter, we are on Instagram, we are on Thread, we are on YouTube. Lots of things on all these pages for you to enhance your lacrosse knowledge, stay up to date with everything that is happening. Again, I say it every week. We have our thumb on the pulse of the situation, and we are very proud to keep you up to date with everything that's going on everywhere. And we have enough feelers out there that we are able to give you things up to the minute. So please check our Facebook page 3, 4, 5 times a day because the news is always changing and we have everything up there as quick as we can possibly get it to you. Please, again, go back and If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube page, please subscribe. If you have, please tell other people to subscribe. We're using it more and more to put more interviews, more pictures, more other things, more retro games, and more tools to keep you well equipped in the lacrosse world. So we thank you again, week in and week out, for your patronage and sticking with us day in and day out. It is our privilege to give you everything that we can in the world of lacrosse, and all the traveling that we all do to get everything to you as quick as we can, most succinctly as we can. So we thank you again. Last words, over to Shawn in Moose Jaw.
Yeah, in Saskatchewan here, we need a lot of help. So.
You can say a few prayers over there.
Yeah.
Really helpful. But the tractors are still there in case. And Mike, your coronation and your parades are still all set up. Weather's getting nice now, so we're able to get some of these things dusted off and ready. Over in Connecticut, we have Muffler Mike with his last words, and they are.
I'm just going to take a rest like Georgia and Halifax next week. They have buys.
Mike is busier than Georgia and Halifax.
No, obviously, hey, listen. If you still are skeptical about the unified standings, please explain your line of thought, because this season,
we're the final 2 weeks, and there's still
this season has been phenomenal, and you have 13 out of 15 teams still with a possible shot at playoffs. So
thank you, Guido. We really appreciate you chiming in and watching with us week in and week out. Really appreciate it. Eduardo, as always, thank you for your contributions with us and to us. I know you got a lot of things on the go there, and we really appreciate all your hard work with us.
Definitely.
And he's picked Colorado over Philadelphia, just to give you the 7th. I'll have to keep that in mind when I'm putting the pick'ems together later this week. My thoughts are I actually have an easy week of travel next week. I only have to drive to Hamilton. So I don't know what I'm going to do with all the spare time I have in my weekend. Oh, I know I can do my regular stuff. Anyways, it's been great. I really enjoyed Albany. I really enjoyed the people and everything else about it. I was actually surprised because I don't think the TV cameras do it justice. There were a lot more people there than I expected. And it is a pretty good setup in there. From the parking right on into the arena, right on into everything in there. I wish they had more concession merch places to have a look at. They have one set up on the one side. So, got to do laps to try and get there. But and the lineups, because it's only one. But other than that, that's, just small logistics. As for anything else in there, I really found it to be a very, very well laid out system and building. So, and getting out of there was pretty easy too. So that being said, if you have a chance to get to your local arenas, get there. Support these teams. You won't be disappointed. And I will be harping on that all through the summer too, with the MSL and WLA, because these teams really do need your support. And you're going to see some phenomenal lacrosse, and especially now where everything is on the line. So please give them some support. Anyways, until next week at 11 a.m. For Shawn Slaght over in Moose Jaw, for Muffler Mike over in Connecticut, I'm Gary Groob in Toronto, and we wish you all an excellent week. Keep your stick in your hands. And until next Sunday at 11 a.m., take care.